Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 17 of our Let's Play series. Joining me back here with some Astral Sorcery work going on in preparation for today. First up, some alterations from the last episode. So I decided that looking at the new perk tree, the one that we went for was not the best starting one for what we're doing. Basically, Aevitas gaining experience by building things is all well and good, but I don't build as much as I dig. So starting with Evorcio makes more sense. The old perk trees used to be a certain set of perks that you could get based on which constellation you were on. And that's what I was going based off of. As they've completely overhauled it and it's simply the route that makes the difference, Evorcio makes a lot more sense for what I'm doing. So I needed to change. Now you can't just put down a new set of the spectral relays and stand back on it. You actually have to cleanse yourself of it first. So that necessitated building a shifting star and then using that, and then from there relaying that out, waiting for the constellation to be in the sky, and then voila. And as such, you can see I've done a lot of digging since then. My start has basically been just to get the increased perk experience gain, so we get the experience faster. We're at nearly 50% extra experience from digging stuff, and I'll carry on doing that. I'm also, I think, going to grab the other routes to see if they increase, like if I start getting experience by doing all of the things. So that would be useful to know. I was just looking to see, because we've got a couple of the dim constellations. Here we go. Other tree routes may be unlocked without requiring a connection to the existing perks. Okay, that's interesting. So I've just unlocked that by gaining more knowledge, because that wasn't available to me earlier. Okay, so that means I could just go into that, get that, and then I could just pick each of those. That's useful to know. We'll see about that when we're gaining levels. Yeah, so because the shifting star needed stardust, I've had to make a grindstone. Just a nice simple little block, and I've had to travel the world a little bit to get some more aquamarine, but other than that there's not been very much going on. I dug this little hole just so I could be doing the starlight growing off camera, which I've done. So the rock crystal is now at its maximum size. We're just going to see if we can get the purity up on it over time. I want to set up a thing that will let me gather starlight a little bit more efficiently than just one infuser up there. So that's something to play around with. Be using integrated dynamics, I think, is the main one. Now, what I want to get started on today is the planter, which I think is going to go here, and a celestial gateway, which, when I was mapping it out, I thought I had more space over here. So maybe the celestial gateway goes here and then the planter goes a bit further along. It is a power based thing is the only issue for the planter, and the further away from the base, the more annoying that's going to be. So let's just go and have a quick look upstairs and see what the overall space looks like. And that annoys me. I need to find a way of stopping that from unloading. Right. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's fine, because it'd be a 9 by 9 that we're looking at for the planter. Gateways take a 7 by 7, so that's okay. whether we want to have the gateway immediately next to it and then the planter further up. That could actually mean we have it at the elevated height, looking down over this then. Yeah, I think that could work. So we have the gateway 1, 3, 5, 7. 3, 5, 7. So if we have the gateway like that, or could move it over one more. Yeah, let's move it over one more. So that square. Oh. Go away, little zombie. No one likes you. Yeah, okay, right. So I'm just going to dig that up off camera and then pick up the resources, and we will craft up the necessary part as soon as night falls. So back in a second. Okay, and we're back. Resources acquired, and time to get crafting. Need to grind up some of this star metal ingots into the dust, which we have access to at the top of our tower now, so we'll do that there. So the way that this works, you place it on, grind it up, okay, it shouldn't take that long. Place it on, grind. There we go. Don't know why it was taking a while that time. I think. There we go. Right, how much of this did we need? Don't want to overdo it. Need 8 pieces total. And then you shift click to take it off with an empty hand. Shift too early there. There we go. Right. Now, frag gateway. We'll do that. Probably take a fair bit of time. It's quite an involved recipe. The bigger the recipe, basically, the more time it takes, I find. Right, well, that second one's cooking. Let's just check to see whether there's any more constellations we can do. Not there. Not there. Okay. There's still a couple that we haven't got yet, so that's always important to check on a nightly basis. Although I have just remembered, we want to get an anvil up first. Reason being, the gateways can be named, and then if you get a larger gate network, you're not guessing based on just a little picture. So let's get the anvil, and yeah, it can just go down in here for now. So we want to call this one home. For 1 experience level, I've got plenty, and this for Crystal Temple, because that's where we're going to place the other one. And you can see I've got all the resources I need for both patches there. So let's go and build up our first one. So basic 5x5 space with sooty marble to begin. Celestial gateway goes in the middle, and then runed marble on the bottom in the corners. And then marble arch along the side, and the engraved on the corners. Let's just repeat this around all the edges. And voila. So now when we stand inside it, we get this kind of like domed area, and at the moment nothing really much happens. We'll show you what happens when we get to the other side. First up, just illuminate all of this because we do not want monsters spawning on it. I'll just illuminate this area for now. Let's get that wall along here. Protect our base. That'll do nicely. It's not perfectly protected, but it's a good start. Right, now I'm going to travel to the temple to the north, and then we will place another celestial gateway, and you can see how these things operate. So join me there momentarily. And welcome back. And I realised I'd done and goofed and put the wrong gateway down at home. So annoying, but they're going to be mislabeled on the network for a little while. I will sort that out off camera, but for now let's just get them in place. I can deal with swapping them over at a later time. So now if we stand in here, you should be able to see over in that direction. There it is. A little part. It's not working because there's too many blocks nearby to it, so we're just going to need to widen this out a little bit so that we don't have blocks impinging on the created dome. Easily done. Basically it just needs a 2x2 area around it. Let's pop torches down while we remember. And now when we stand on it, you can see that yellow part there, and we can simply right click and hold, and we teleport straight to it. Yeah. So that should read Celestial Gateway, but I put them the wrong way around. So just head back and let's deal with getting a protective wall around it. The only problem with bouncing back and forth is it can stutter the game a little bit occasionally, as it tries to keep up with all the things that are changing around it. Alright, that's... Of course it would, wouldn't it? get the excavator's stuff out. There we go. And that also leveled me up, which is nice. So, still have to worry about spiders, but don't have to worry about creepers, which is the important thing. Because we do not want to teleport in and blow up. That would be bad. And that's all of my stone bricks. And there we go. So just a quick light level check. Don't want the walls to be able to spawn monsters. Well, they can still spawn up here and walk in from up there. It's much less likely. We can deal with boxing that off at a later point as well. But yeah, so now we've got access to the water temple, the temple, water temple. That'd be interesting. All right, there's still nothing there. And of course, this is where we can transmute stuff into star metal ore, which we're going to need some more of, so it's useful to have. Okay, I'm going to actually have to push that wall out to 3 width. Do that later. Not super important right now. Okay, so that's set up with only one mistake. It's not too bad. Let's go and throw all of this in the sorting system. And start work on our planter, which is the next part. Also found a very useful thing. The acacia wood is much better for our generating latex and rubber than oak wood. Like 3 times as good for the amount it creates, and half as good again at how quickly it generates. I'll say that goes at 3 millibuckets per tick. That only goes at 2. This will have 1600 on average. That will have 4800 on average. So that is going to dramatically increase the amount that we'll get of rubber per block. So that is going to need to be set up as part of a farm at some point. But our first planter is going to be about dealing with getting all of the stuff we need for that. Oh, missed one. So we want to have our veggie stir fry resources done basically for us. And we're completely fine for dirt now, so stick all of that into the void. Right, so planters. So we're going to need 2 pistons, a couple of iron gears, a flower pot, some plastic, and some form of frame. What's the cheaper way to make the frame? Not the steel, that's for sure. 4 iron, 4 tin, 4 iron block of redstone. How are we for redstone? 66 blocks of redstone. I think that one seems like the best option. So let's make one of those. I have taught it how to automate pistons, but it's quick enough to do that. A couple of iron gears, flower pot, and that should be everything. So by default this block is pretty small. It'll only work directly above it, so realistically you very much need to increase that, and that is done with these range add-ons. We want a 9x9 area, so the range that we want is +4, which is tin, which is nice and simple. Should be able to just shift click that in. So if we now put that in, you can see the area increases. So it works by radius, not by diameter. So that will be an appropriately sized area for where we've got outside. So let's go and place that down to begin with. And while we're on the way, we'll just pick up some of the resources we're going to want to put in it. So we're going to have to deal with getting power to it and getting items from it. Not the easiest with where we're going to be positioning it, but that's part of the challenge. So that goes there, and then this grid is going to indicate, so there you go, that's the part. Let's actually take these torches off, because we're going to need the actual space for the crops. Yeah, so these indicate which quadrants it's going to grow the parts in. So we've got 5 things that we want to grow. So we could just do the 4 edges and the center, and those all each have a 3x3 area to themselves. Leaves us with 4 3x3 parts in the corner, which I'm thinking we put some trees in, and then we can deal with getting like the oak wood, turning it into charcoal and putting it over there to automate the mana generation. Acacia, so that we can take it straight down into the latex processing area, which is basically directly underneath the smeltery, so it's not that far to take that one. That would probably be pretty useful. And similarly for the charcoal, we can move the setup that we've got with the furnace and the external heater and the windmill, and we can use the windmill to generate the charcoal to then put it over there, which seems like a really good option to me. So we're going to need to break these down into seeds, I think. Actually, we might not need to. I think we can plant them as is. So that's going to be the basic, and then we're going to want at least oak and acacia, and then to make use of the other 2, I'm thinking wheat and the inferium. Sounds good. So let's get some wheat seeds. There we go. Although the Inferium is going to actually take a bit of time to sort out. No, let's keep the Inferium where it is. Let's get the industrial hemp. Right. Put that away, and we need some saplings. We need. I'll just take the half stack of that. And the 9 of those. No, gotta go up through the potential area. That's going to be the tricky one, is remembering which ways we've got to run around to get to various places, but we'll get there. I'll also be like putting a nice edging in on that. It's not going to stay blank forever. So, wheat, hemp. Oh, I can only take a half stack at a time at the moment. That's fine. Right, so we need to get the energy into it. Lock the inventory. This way, even if all of it gets used, it remembers that that's the type of resource to go in there. We want it always active. I don't know how much power this is going to consume. Whether it's going to be better to make a dedicated power part for it, because we can very easily make another water mill and put it underneath there, or whether just running a cable from in the base along is going to be better. I'm not sure. Well, this episode's starting to run a little bit long, so I will deal with looking at that off camera. Probably getting the power hooked up to there. No, let's just turn the working area off. We are going to need to put water options down for this. In fact, from the size of the area, we could just put water directly above that, which would make a lot of sense. That way we can still interact with it from up here. Hey! Plans and thoughts and thinking and stuff. Yeah, so we'll get the power hooked up to it. We'll see how much it starts draining as to whether we want to set up a separate water mill just for that, or whether we're okay with it coming from under there. And then we'll work out how we're getting the stuff away from it, because I don't think this harvests anymore. So we're going to need another machine for that, potentially. Not plant fertilizer, plant gatherer. Here we go. So we're going to need one of them set up. And then we're going to need a sludge refiner as well, because that all generates together, and that's the process of stopping easy automation requiring a factory-like setup, which is quite cool. But yeah, so between sessions I will put the Celestial Gateway where they're meant to be, rather than having the wrong names on them, and deal with some power setup. So join us next time for see how things pan out that way. Thank you very much. See you there.